Hi there, it's Garrett Shield. Welcome to a new Football Talks. I am joined by Bill as always. Say hello, Bill.
Hey, hey!
Alright, so week 13 is in the books. This week kind of sucked for me, but whatever. Anyway, it's all good for me because you're going to get paid today.
Indeed.
But first, let's recap some of the games. Start with Thursday Night Football with the Washington football team. Where were they? Where were they, Bill? They were gone for half a game, and by the time they started to come back, it was too little, too late. The Cowboys just had too much of a lead on them, and their defense just flopped over to the side.
Yeah, they came out and played horrifically bad for most of that game. They were not very good at all.
And that's because I said to Kirk Cousins, "Hey, you're a sneaky dark horse type of quarterback who could be is a Pro Bowl worthy contender. Just your team is shit because they don't give you any breaks." But he made a few mistakes of his own. He made good plays. That he actually saved some drives by either getting a good throw in or running it to the first down mark himself. On the other hand, though, Bill, I will say the defensive line. I liked what I saw because Demarcus Lawrence and company were just ragdolling the offensive line. There was one moment where I think it was either Demarcus Lawrence or David Irving. One of them just ping ponged off of one lineman, from one lineman to the back of the center, and then just jumped towards Kirk Cousins, and he was still there. It's like to me, it looked like a drunk just like bumping into different people until he goes for the guy, he goes after the guy he wanted to punch or something. It looked silly in slow motion, but it was a very effective play. And to me, I think that was the sign of why Kirk Cousins never stood a chance. That offensive line just went from manageable or like pretty okay to a garbage team.
Right. It just they just bleh.
Well, no matter what,
Bleh.
no matter what, you could safely say that the Washington football team is forked. The Cowboys aren't mathematically eliminated now, but I say they're done. They're both
I
done.
mean, yeah, they have an issue, and that's Seattle, Atlanta,
I should have picked
and
Seattle to beat the Eagles. I had a hunch, but I didn't want to go against the 10-1 team. On the
yeah.
bright
I
side,
mean,
Bill, on the bright side, I can move the Patriots to number 1 now.
right. I mean, overall, this was really if Washington won, Dallas was totally done. They're not done yet, but they came out and played for their playoff lives.
Yeah, well,
They
both teams were in a situation. You lose this game, you're practically dead.
right.
And now we
I
know
mean,
who's truly dead.
oh yeah, it was Washington, which really surprised me because Dallas's defense, minus DeMarcus Lawrence, is really, really not
I
so
actually
good.
with this game, I have now decided to add one Cowboys secondary player to the Pro Bowl list.
Ooh.
I'll tell you who it is. Jeff Heath. You know, the one who had to play substitute kicker against the 49ers when Bailey went out.
Right.
This guy can do it all. He can kick. He can kick. He can also get good interceptions and make good plays. He might be their best secondary player right now. But just because you have one good secondary piece doesn't mean you're set for the Super Bowl. Believe me, there are plenty of other teams I can give as examples of how that doesn't guarantee anything. But
Right.
some
Right.
Cowboys fans will say, "Look, our defense played great," and it did. Well, the front seven did. The secondary still made some mistakes, plenty of mistakes. I mean, there was that first touchdown. I forget who it was, but he pretty much walked in unopposed because the guy who was covering him actually went ahead of him and was too far away by the time the ball was thrown to get to go and stop him. There was that, as if you wanted a specific example. But of course, there was my favorite, Des Bryant, pretty much owning number 26. I forget his name. Des Bryant actually made a really good touchdown pass or catch where he went. It looked like he was trying to leapfrog off of a Washington player to reach the ball because it was thrown very high up. But
Right.
Dak had, I say he had a very rough start because this game was ugly to watch the first quarter. In fact, if you watch the full game, just skip the first quarter. It is pretty boring and ugly to watch. It took the Cowboys almost the entire first quarter to finally get a first down. They kept going 3-and-out, and it was just that offense looked embarrassing.
Right.
But for once, they did pretty good. Dak had to save the game with his legs too. Alfred Morris started coming together towards the end of the game, but really, it was a mix of the wide receivers doing pretty well and the front seven for Dallas just manhandling that offensive line from Washington. That's all that it came down to.
Yep.
I would say I'm very impressed with the defensive line, but like I said, I never thought the defensive line in of itself was the biggest problem. I've been preaching for years that the secondary is the problem, and it's going to keep biting them in the ass because you're going to play the Raiders, who actually, Bill, fun fact, with our upset of the week that we both called, the Raiders are now leading the division.
Yep.
The Chiefs are free falling so hard. The division's coming down to the wire. Looks like the best in the West, the best division of the NFL is coming together. Very ugly. But what, Bill?
I mean, and everyone thought, oh, well, the NFC East is going to be the best division in football, and that is by far not a correct statement.
I mean, if it's any consolation, you might have the best team in the NFC in general in there, but they did kind of slip up to Richard Sherman and who else did they lose?
Yeah, they lost a bunch of secondary pieces.
And yet that Eagles offense looked tame.
Yeah.
With that loss, they've sort of put their spot now they are at risk to lose their easy run towards home field, because I believe, let's take a look. Yeah, they're going to play the Rams in LA next week, so they can't fuck up now. They could have at least if we lose to the Rams and we win the rest of our games, it's all good. No problem. Now you're at risk of letting the Rams take your spot for the number 1 seed.
Oh yeah.
If not them, the Vikings could get involved. But I don't know. We'll have to we have to wait and see. But honestly, Bill, oh boy, the NFC is about to, like I said, the all-out war for the top. It's not a gimme. But right now the Cowboys are just struggling. They're hanging on the coattails of the other good teams in the NFC to try and sneak in on that 6th seed. That is their only hope. And
that's their only. Yeah, I agree.
But if they want to do that, they have to win out, and that includes beating the Eagles in Philadelphia. So you blew your chance. You gotta go beat. I believe they have to play. Yeah, I said Oakland. Oh, Seattle. You gotta go play Seattle. But if it's any consolation, you should have Ezekiel Elliott by that point. I think that's the first game he comes back in, actually. So, you know how he's off hiding in training. Let's hope it's a bit of a Return of the Jedi type of thing, where Luke is gone for a whole year, and he comes out to beat Darth Vader, because you might need that type of effect if you want any chance for a playoff push.
I agree.
Either way,
they need all the help they can get.
Yeah, either way. Now, let's move on to the next team. Let's stay in Texas. Although, I wouldn't say this one was in Tennessee, mind you, but let's talk about the other Texas team. Oh, the Texans are so done. There's no Watson, and now I don't think they have. I think they lost 2 players to concussion protocol. I think it was Steven Anderson and Braxton Miller. Not good, but that's not why I'm upset. They actually played very well. Braxton Miller had one of the best plays of the game that day. Steven Anderson got an ugly pass from Tom Savage, who was throwing it at the fucking floor.
Oh,
but
God.
Yeah, I mean, if it's any consolation, you took the lead, Texans, 10-0, but you didn't do anything much after that.
Yeah, overall, that game was another game where, Houston really couldn't set up a running game with Lamar Miller. The passing game was mediocre at best, and terrible at the worst. And
Oh, trust me.
lone the lone highlight, freaking DeAndre Hopkins, even with a horrifically bad team around him, still is putting up numbers.
Yeah. I don't know why I wouldn't want him to be Offensive Player of the Year, but he's not getting that award because he doesn't have a
Nope.
quarterback keeping him good. Like basically, if you had to take a shot, Bill, at who would be Offensive Player of the Year, who would it be and why? I know it's an on-the-spot
Offen-
question, but who do you think it would be, assuming it's not a quarterback?
offensive offensive player of the year. I could see hmm if I'm going to go anyone, I'm going to go Carson Wentz just because he's been
Oh, he's
for
probably gonna get a
most of
whole MVP award. You know.
yeah, I
If I
mean,
had to give you one, I'll give you two. There's the Vikings guy. What's I forget his name. The one.
Kate,
Uh,
Thielen?
yes.
M. Thielen?
There's Thielen. But to me, the one who probably has the best chance of taking it is gonna be Antonio Brown. Why? Because his numbers are inflated. Because he's right next to a good quarterback. If you bring the attention like Antonio Brown and Big Ben do, it also gets the attention of the people who give their they voice their they put in their votes.
Right.
Because trust me, there are a lot of situations where players who clearly deserve these awards don't get it because they get beaten out by a brand name player.
Agreed.
This doesn't apply. I'm not saying a couple weeks ago I said DeMarcus Lawrence is probably going to get the award for Defensive Player of the Year because Cowboys. But honestly, someone like Lawrence, I think he kind of deserves it. But to me, there's others that clearly also deserve it. Uh, as somebody I'm going to mention when we talk Pro Bowl later, Chandler Jones for the Cardinals, because while DeMarcus Lawrence has 13 and a half sacks, uh, uh, Chandler Jones has I think he has 11 or 12, and he's only a linebacker. He has to play coverage as well. But
Right.
it honestly, if it's either of them, I'd be happy because I think both of them. I think they just about equally deserve it. But anyway, um, I feel like Hopkins is not going to win the Offensive Player of the Year award, even though out of all the players, he deserves it because he is in the worst situation, and yet he is playing the best of it.
I agree. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, he's really proving that even with you could have a like a circus monkey throw him the football, he'd still be able to catch it, even if it was thrown 10 feet over his head. I mean, legitimately, he is a legit monster.
He had one of the
He
best catches of the
catches
week too.
everything. Yep. I mean, good lord. Some of those catches he was making the entire game. Tom Savage was inaccurate with the football. He was catching them way over his head, way underthrown. I mean, tippy toeing in the sidelines. He was doing everything.
Yep, that's why I had him as a first ballot. My first ballot for wide receivers because he is the best to me right now. I mean, I still think, as of right now, Julio Jones and Antonio Brown are better physically
Yeah.
in a way. But to be honest, if we're gonna go talk a numbers game strictly, Hopkins is easily up there with them. And I don't want to hear
Definitely.
that. Oh, but Julio Jones was hurt. Antonio Brown's not, and yet he's catching up to him. So what about that guy at least?
Right.
But anyway, as for the defense, though, I'm not going to give them a pass either. I love Clowney. Don't get me wrong, but he has had this one major problem that they haven't fixed at all. He keeps jumping. He keeps jumping the snap. If he should be lucky, he's not playing someone like Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers would catch him doing that 10 times a game
Yep.
because the dude has a horrible tendency to jump. I get it, you want to go after the quarterback and get that head start, but it's so risky, and he hasn't fixed that issue. It actually led to some scores too. So yeah, they have to, he needs to really control himself and make sure not to lunge too early. Wait till you see that ball move, and then you go for it. Because if you
I,
get caught, they're gonna make you pay, especially if it leads to a free play.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not only could that lead to points, the cumulative effect of those yards, I mean, that makes it, let's say it's 2nd and 10 and he jumps. That's 2nd and 5. I mean, that turns the entire defensive series against you then. You know, because typically if you're 2nd and 10, you're going 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, third and longs. And there you go. I mean, it it's it really turns the down and distance war that you're in from a 3rd and 1 potentially to a 3rd and 6. I mean, and 3rd and 1s are easy to convert comparative, especially when your defense isn't playing well. So, the cumulative effect of that is a very big negative, and it's definitely something that he needs to work on because, like you said, Aaron Rodgers or a quarterback like Tom Brady or someone's just hard snap you just consistently, hard count, hard count, hard count, and just keep getting you to give them free 5 yards.
Yep. Either way, I mean, there's one other thing that was worse than that. Oh boy, I don't know how Tom Savage actually got around this, but imagine 4th and 5. That's a lot of pressure. But guess how we can make it worse? Back to back to back false starts by the same guy, Jeff Allen. How are you starting for this team right now?
Oh my God!
You put from a 4-5 to a 4th and 19, which at one hand I don't understand how that adds up. How does 5 times with and adding 3 more 5s equal 19?
Wait, maybe it was fourth and 4.5. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, but they rounded it up to 5 because I saw a 4. They kept saying it started from a 4th and 5 and now it's a 4th and 19.
Right.
And somehow,
I mean,
I don't know how, but Savage actually got the first down. But to me, at the end of the day, it only led to an interception, so you can say that didn't matter. But let's put it this way: let's assume he was going to get that first down no matter where he was. At a 4th and 5 situation, you don't need to go far. But imagine he got the same exact yards with that same exact play on 4th and 5.
yeah,
All of a sudden,
I
all of a sudden, you would have reached the end zone quicker, and you might have actually scored and and had more time to try and get the game.
Exactly. I saw it live, and when it happened, I was like, "Oh my God, this encapsulates the entire Texan season right here. Backward, backward, backward. Then you need Tom Savage to convert a first down, and then he throws a pick. That perfectly summarizes the Texan season this entire year. Doing that.
Yeah, and I hate it. I really hate. I miss Watson. If we had Watson, I'm pretty sure we would have torched the Titans again. It might not have been a 50 burger, but it still would have felt just as satisfying as that 50 burger. But
Right.
we miss him. It seems we're gonna give the Browns a first-round pick, which Browns fans are getting clamored. But I'm like, you can shut the fuck up because you're well on the way to 0-16, and I'm looking forward to it. Because at the end of the day, we still win because thank you for the quarterback. Thank you for Deshaun Watson because he's looking good. How is Deshaun Kaiser? I know you want to say, but it's his first year. Considering in the situation you're in, you might want to draft a quarterback with the first overall pick, but if they're smart, they should hold back another year.
Right.
Either way, Texans are they've been dead to me. They're done. They're going to actually have, for the first time, a non-winning season since Bill O'Brien entered. It's finally happened. But the question is he going to get fired? I don't know. They have this next game, which is actually winnable against San Francisco. If they lose that, I may actually start considering it. But I hope not. I don't think they will. Even though they got Jimmy G, I feel like there's a chance. We'll see, though. Anyway, let's move on, Bill. Let's move on to another team that frustrated us today on that day. Detroit. Why did Bill? Why did you have to do a jinx pick? Why did you have to do that? You should have stuck with that pick so I can get a win in the standings this week.
Typically, when I pick Baltimore, they lose. but I was wrong. The Baltimore Ravens actually won a game when I picked them. So my anti-jinx failed, and it was a horrifyingly bad game overall with the Lions. The day in Detroit started out like this. The old Pontiac Silverdome where they used to play uh 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, was getting imploded in Pontiac, and the building was tampered with, and it did not come down. So the explosions went off. The Silverdome stayed standing, and that's exactly how I feel with the Lions season this year. The Lions season has imploded, and yet they're still standing there at 6-6. It's been a mind-boggling shit show. And the first thing I want to say is it starts with the offensive line, who is not protecting Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is on his back, and he's gotten hurt already twice. And once in this game, which took him out, we'll get to that later, and once previously. My other takeaway from this game is that Matt Prater can't do it all by himself. He finally showed some cracks. He was missing field goals. No, I don't blame you there, man. You tried your best. And third, and my biggest gripe, actually I have 4 gripes. My third gripe is the horrifically bad defense. We spotted them 17 points in the first half. 20, actually. It was like 20-0 in the first half. And was there any fight on the defense? There was no fight on the defense. They came out and played better in the second half. I'll give them that. And then the fourth quarter happened. We'll get to that. But my fourth gripe is they found their running back that can run the football in Tyon Green, and we don't run the football with Tyon Green. If you're running the football effectively, why are you going away from Tyon Green? I don't get it. He's already by far better than Amir Abdullah.
He did pretty well for his first game coming off the streets. He gets his first down. He
Exactly.
gets a first down with the first ball he's given, to run with, and then he scores a touchdown in that same game. I don't know why they. I would expect them to use him more this week against Tampa Bay, since you're getting a December game in Florida. Do you know how good that is for most teams that live in the North?
Oh yeah,
Teams like
definitely. I mean,
teams like Buffalo enjoy going to Miami in December if they get the chance.
oh yeah. You know, it really doesn't matter too much here because of the dome or Minnesota in the dome, but places like Green Bay or Chicago, that or New England or any of those teams that play in the north and outside, you know, a December game in Florida always a good thing. Uh, but overall, it was a well officiated game. It was really a good officiated game. There was no gripes about that on my end. Legitimately, it just shows, this game showed what lack of leadership we have in the highest points in the Lions organization. We have no head coach that can coach well enough to get us past 8-8. Our offensive coordinator cannot call running game worth the shit. And our defensive coordinator can't call defense or put together a defense in the first half to stop the worst freaking offense in football from moving the football all over the field on us. That is unacceptable.
Yeah, that was just also to me. I don't know how they didn't put their corners farther away because this is a vertical pass style offense, and it seems like they weren't prepared for that.
Legit. You just said it. It looks like they weren't prepared. It's like, how do you not know that Joe Flacco has a big arm and he's going to throw the football down the field? He misses underneath throws consistently. and he's been terrible at long-range throws this year. So we give up a bunch of long-range throws to the worst long-range thrower in the league this year, and we're getting gashed up the gut by running plays by Alex Collins. We're getting gashed by pass plays by a terrible offense. It's just mind-boggling how you can't rush the passer. Ezekiel Ansah got hurt again. He needs to go. I'm sorry. I like Ezekiel Ansah, but he needs to go. He's a constant injury risk. I mean, Jared Davis was trying his best. The defense was a mess. It's just a mess. We need to get rid of Terrell Austin as fast as possible.
I
And
say
this is
burn the
reason why
whole
he's not
bridge.
coached.
Burn the whole product, because the Caldwell experience should be over, especially if they can't get into the playoffs. I mean, it's already hard enough. You absolutely have to win out, because like I've been saying, Bill, 10-6 in the NFC may not guarantee you anything. And especially if both of those teams are the Panthers and the Falcons, you are absolutely never getting in. Someone tried to argue that with me, saying that you can go ahead of them. No, you can't, because unlike other situations, you've played them and you lost to them.
Exactly. They own the tiebreakers. We can't get in.
You have to have a better record than them. I don't know about Seattle, because you're not playing them this year, but either way, you cannot go in 9-7. That's not getting you shit here. You need to pray that at least the Falcons don't make it, because they have better chances at that. Let's be honest. The Panthers, even though they lost this week, I still think they're in better shape long term than the Falcons.
Yeah, they're Detroit. I love my Lions, but they're done.
And plus,
they're done.
There are two games that I think they are due for when the Lions get a Lions, and it's not their division matchups, it's the other games, the non-division matchups. The Bucks game this week, and the Bengals game on week 16. Both of them on the road against teams they should beat, but I wouldn't surprise you if they derp around and fuck up when it matters most, because the Lions have yet to beat an NFC South team this year, and this may be the weakest of them all, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, and I especially wouldn't be surprised if Andy Dalton outperforms Matt Stafford somehow.
I mean, I'm disillusioned with this team. The team just is not good at running the football. They need a real running back, Tyon Green or anybody, anyone. We could literally sign a dog off the street and just throw the football and play fetch with it, and it would get 10, 15 yards more than our goddamn running backs are getting right now. That's at what point I'm at with my running game right now with the Lions. It legitimately, they shouldn't sign anyone, because no one deserves the spot.
Yep, it's bad. Either way, though, I will say right now, I still think the cornerback's an issue. If you cut Ziggy Ansah, then you may have to consider a defensive end, because Zettel can't do it alone.
Right.
But either way, the Ravens now 7-5 look like they could easily get in the playoffs. Like, just win 2 more games and they're guaranteed in.
Yep.
Because 9 is the number that you need to win, assuming nobody gets to 10. If nobody gets to 10, 9 is enough to get you in the playoffs, and the only tough game they have is against the Steelers this week. After that, they could just win 2 more games and that'll do it. Which,
exactly.
They can't fuck it up, can they? I mean, there's the Browns and the Colts and the Bengals. You can't lose to 2 of them. You can't lose to especially the Browns and the Colts. You can't do that, can you?
No.
I don't know. Either way, we'll see. Either way, Bill, let's move on to the last game. This one's not that bad. At least somebody gave me a smile, because this guy's still the goddamn GOAT. Good old Tom Brady. Beating the Bills. What else is new with him? This is the same team he's beaten many times before, and as long as he stays, he's going to keep destroying them later, and especially later this year when he hosts them at the end of the year, the end of the season. So, how about those Patriots, Bill? Because while it was ugly in the first half, like 9-3 going into halftime, the Patriots started trying after that, and at that point, oh, the game was long gone.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Buffalo, Buffalo. There's really not much to talk about this game, minus a couple incidents. But Buffalo just didn't come out. They didn't play well. They were a mess on offense. They are a mess on defense, and it looks like they've lost their will to fight. Really, after that Peterman decision, it looks like
Oh, that was
they
because
lost
Tyrod
the
Taylor
team.
has a knee injury. He's actually day to
No,
day.
no, I meant before that.
Oh,
That
yeah.
other game, the other game earlier where he had 5 interceptions in the first half. After that decision, it looks like the Buffalo Bills have quit on the head coach, and I mean they're just a mess. They're a mess.
I don't know what's wrong with the Bills. They have this opportunity to tank, and yet they can't. They won't. They refused. Because look, Tyrod Taylor still, I don't think he's the problem. I like him when I see him play. I remember when, before Watson came to the Patriots, like, hey, Buffalo, you want to let Tyrod Taylor go? I'll take him off your hands. I would love to have him. I'll give you a third-round pick for him or something. And I don't think we'd have the same style because Watson's much more on his feet than Tyrod, you could say. But hey, you still get a good enough quarterback. And right now, look what's with the Bills. They're in prime shape to just tank, which they won't because they refuse to. They could just tank the rest of the year, go like, I don't know, let's see, because they're gonna lose to the Patriots again. Like at worst, they can go 6-10. That'd be a pretty okay draft pick. And you can go get you can get some nice pieces because right now you could use some wide receiver help, some offensive line help, defensive line help if you want to like make that even more of a threat, but just add pieces on offense really because you're going to have your own pick, but you're also going to have the Chiefs' first round pick. You have 2 first round picks to go nuts and fix your offense in a single year, and if it's all good, well, you might be a playoff team again.
Yep.
Like that's the thing. They just needed to tank 1 year. Just go 5-11, 4-10, and you know what? It wouldn't be that bad because it's like normally you say, hey, if you're this bad team, you should go 2-14, but it's okay because you have 2 first-round picks. It's okay to mess up a little bit and do a little better, overachieve a little, but they've gone past overachieving. They've gone full try hard to not suck, and it's worked for the most part. Like, I mean, the Browns have 2 first-round picks, but you know they're gonna fuck it up somehow. They always do.
Right.
It's bad.
Uh,
Either way, the Bills are fucked. It feels like, but because right now the Chargers' run still looks good. They're still making that run,
yep.
and now, oh boy, wait till we talk about more of the AFC West. But yikes! For now, though, I will say one of my favorite things in this game was like Tom Brady getting mad at the offensive coordinator. It was no Bill O'Brien type of fighting, but
Right.
to me, like some people, there was a smug little Steelers fan talking shit in the YouTube comment section, and Bill, YouTube comments knows where everything's at. They know their stuff. But anyway, what he was saying that how to paraphrase, he was saying that you guys should get mad at Tom Brady like you do at Antonio Brown. Here's the thing, though: they don't get mad at Antonio Brown for beating. We get mad at Antonio Brown for beating the shit out of a Gatorade cooler because he didn't get the ball, and they were winning. They were blowing out the Ravens.
Right.
Tom Brady just missed a throw, and he knew there was a guy on the other side who was clearly much more wide open, and his coordinator was telling him that. I was like, I know that. You don't need to tell me that. And plus, there's the whole thing how Antonio Brown has off the field issues too, like the rest of the Steelers team, because, if you want a good example, go look up Urinating Trees video on the Steelers. It is, oh boy. You start to realize, like, wow, this organization's kind of fucked up now that I think about it. If you're a good player, they'll never go against you. But to be fair, I think most NFL organizations do that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, know.
But yeah, well, the
Cowboys
people
are-
people say that the Steelers organization is the best because they have 6 Super Bowl trophies. Having a lot of trophies does not mean you're a good organization. The very few exceptions are teams like the Spurs in basketball. Because, the best example of how good their character is starts with their head coach.
Right.
Because Popovich has been, pro at, like, how do I put it? I wouldn't say he's like a social justice warrior, as some would call him, but let's just say he is much more an advocate for good things. But before it was cool to do that stuff. Basically, he
Right.
complained about Trump type of antics before it was cool, and now everybody's into that stuff. Anyway,
Right.
Bill. So what's next for the Patriots? I think.
What's next? Either a number 1 or a number 2 seed. That's what's next.
Because they got the Dolphins on Monday Night Football, but then Bill, Week 15, it finally happens. We're gonna see who's gonna get the first seed because it's between the Steelers and the Patriots.
Yep. I mean, good lord. I mean, legit. It really all depends. Also, what happens with Gronk next week. Or what happens with Gronk if they're gonna go crazy with a suspension, or is it just gonna be fine because of a situation that happened during the New England Buffalo game where Gronk kept getting held all over the field.
Oh yeah, they didn't
And
even catch that. That was so stupid.
they kept having Gronk getting held all over the field, and he started getting frustrated. And when he got frustrated, he went back and drove his forearm into the back of the guy's head into the ground.
Oh, he was already on the ground. That's why the flag was there.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I
that-
won't. I expect I would expect a 1-game suspension at worst, to a fine at the least. But to be honest, this is the NFL, and they don't want the Patriots to win. They'll do whatever it takes. Because remember, Bill, they tried so hard to suspend Brady for 4 games, but a man who admits that yes, I beat my wife, please get rid of me. Oh, 2-game suspension. The NFL totally knows how to enforce its rules, so they're gonna suspend Gronk for a whole season. Okay, but if I had to give an actual guess, I'm gonna say they're gonna suspend him for 4 games because they don't want the Patriots to win. But to be honest, I don't think having considering the rest of the schedule is just there's only that 1 game against the Steelers, but the rest are jokes against the Dolphins, and then hosting the Bills and the Jets at the end of the year. I think they'll be just fine.
oh yeah.
It's just that Steelers game, but to be honest, the Patriots have so many pieces on offense. Burkhead had a good game. Dion Lewis also had all the running backs look so good right now. It didn't look good at first, but now everything has gelled in, and now they're good. Because remember, people were like, remember when they said like, oh, the Patriots might not make it into the playoffs? Like, what kind of shit? What kind of shit talk is that? That's stupid. That's blasphemous.
Right.
People who thought the Patriots would not get in, but the Bills and the Jets would. How fucking cute. All right, Bill. I want to mention a couple games before we get to the Pro Bowl stuff. So, Bill,
Okay.
first and foremost, the Eagles just got humbled by the Seahawks that didn't have Richard Sherman. I don't think they had Bobby Wagner, and they didn't have Earl Thomas. Yikes. Carson Wentz still getting that MVP award. Just like I said, he doesn't have to do anything else, and he'll still get it because of what they've done. But the Cowboys are not going to catch them and win the division, so the Eagles have pretty much won it all.
I mean, yeah, I agree. It was a kind of a lackluster game last night. It was all right.
It was all Seahawks all day.
Yeah, it was all Seahawks. And really, it was a garbage time touchdown for Philadelphia anyway. So,
Well, fear not, Philly, you're still going to the playoffs. Just like I said, none of what happens here influences me that much. What matters to me is, are you going to choke in the playoffs like you always have? Because that's, to me, Bill, what matters more for a team that's unproven like Philly. because you could have all the fun you want in the regular season, but if you just keep choking in the playoffs like you always do, why do you think I'm not phased by this at all?
Right.
You're not
Oh,
unlike a team like the Patriots or even the Saints who have proven they can go all the way. I need to see you can. That's why I'm more confident in the Saints than I am the Eagles and the Rams right now, because I know Drew Brees can do it. I've seen him do
right.
it.
Right.
But
I agree.
speaking of Drew Brees, oh, the Saints have the division in the bag, Bill. Next
Yeah.
week when we
Yeah.
talk about who we think's going to go in the playoffs, oh, that one's already. It feels like it's already sealed away. The Falcons are really the last remaining hurdle to jump across to get in the play to
Yeah.
get in with the division crown.
They've found their running back besides Mark Ingram and Elvin Kamara. Kamara's scary. He is going to be a legit nuisance. If Drew Brees sticks around a couple more years, he's got a really damn good weapon behind him in Elvin Kamara. Kamara is going to be the #1 running back in New Orleans very soon.
I think he already is.
Oh yeah.
But another game, Bill. So yeah, you know how we hinted at it earlier. How about those Jets? Jets, 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 Jets.
Right.
They
Oh
did it.
man.
They beat the Chiefs. I was saying they were gonna do it, and yeah, everyone was like, the Chiefs have to rebound from it. Like, no,
Hey.
no, the choke job continues. The Chiefs are trying to choke their division lead because right now, I don't think they're winning the division. I believe that the Raiders are leading the division because they have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs currently.
Guess who? Guess who called that?
We
Ding
did.
ding ding.
We
We
did.
did.
Oh, that was beautiful. What was meant to be a lone upset of the week for me, Bill comes in as a new challenger approaching and joins in on the fun, and we're right.
Oh man.
So
But
there was that. The Chiefs are choking this, but to me, at the end of the day, I'm gonna go with the Chargers. I feel like with their schedule being easy now and they've settled in,
yeah.
they
Yeah.
can't fuck up though. Here's the thing: the Chargers cannot afford to make a mistake if they want to complete the run. They need to win every single game. I'm not kidding. If they lose to the Chiefs when they go over there, they might still not make it in. Mathematically speaking, the Jags have that edge over them, and if the Jags don't get in via division title, and the Titans do, you're fucked. But if you get
Right.
that lead and you have a better record than them, then it doesn't matter. So yeah, the Chargers are in a position where they cannot make any mistakes. One mistake might cost you a playoff spot. That's why I call it the run. It'll be pretty
Right.
historic if they pull it off. You know, to go horrible and then just start after losing that Jaguars game week 10, win all the games you need to punch your ticket.
Right.
It would be very impressive. But
Oh yeah.
it really is the best division in football now because it's all close. We have three teams in a three-way tie for the first place.
Yep.
Also, Bill, let's get to some news.
Oh yeah.
Jimmy G gets his first win, so the 49ers get to laugh at the Giants because now they've tied for a record with them. But more importantly, the Giants, good old Ben McAdoo thought it was a good idea to bench Eli Manning, the only quarterback who can beat Tom Brady, for Geno Smith.
Yeah. That was legit stupid, and they got fired for
It
it.
literally cost him his job, and it was beautiful. Finally, the dirt Ben McAdoo. Everyone's like, he might be the best coach the Giants have had in many years.
Well, now I can't give the Giants worst organization a year just for the simple fact that they recognized the problem and got rid of it immediately.
Well,
Unlike
remember,
Cleveland.
2 weeks ago they were like, "Nah, we're gonna ride out the rest of this year because we are confident in Coach McAdoo." My ass. Also, the GM got fired, but
Oh yeah.
that goes to show you cannot buy a defense successfully all at once like that. At least the
Nope.
Jaguars bought some defensive players over the years, but if they didn't
And
work,
then
they cut him immediately.
Yeah, and drafted some as well. It wasn't just they didn't just I want one of this and one of this and one of this and one of this.
Yeah, well, they didn't do it all at once. They didn't buy all their groceries
Exactly.
in one go.
Exactly.
But right now though, oh boy, Giants. What are you gonna do? Because now you've ruined Eli Manning's streak. You could start him again, but to be honest, they might. I hope they don't put him back in because if it's for his sake, I wouldn't want to go back in for the. In fact, I wouldn't even want to play for the Giants anymore. Like, don't. I'm not showing up to anything anymore. Fuck you all.
Right.
Just not show up, get cut, or be traded. Get traded to like Jacksonville, and there you go. Meet good old Tom Coughlin, the only coach who knew how to make you work somehow.
Right.
Either way, so that was a bit of a twosie, but that was fun news for me. Anything going wrong for the other NFC East teams, I enjoy because the NFC East is shit. Stop overhyping it, Al and Chris. It's not good.
Right.
Anyway,
Right.
Bill, let's discuss Pro Bowls. This time we're gonna start in the defense. All defense and a couple kickers. That's it.
Oh yeah.
So let's get right into it. I want to start with the defensive end, and the first one I have in mind is good old DeMarcus Lawrence, a possible defensive player of the year candidate, and 13 and a half sacks, 4 forced fumbles. This man is going at it hard. I liked him last year, and I thought he'd be great. He's overachieved, clearly. I did not think he'd be Defensive Player of the Year. But to be fair, a lot of defensive players have been killed off by the NFL gods. And by the way, Bill, fun fact, do you want to know the records of the Chiefs, Raiders, and Chargers?
What?
I think they're all 6-6. There really is a cursed year for the NFL. That was the other
Right.
thing I forgot to mention because, yeah, cursed. Very cursed.
Right.
Anyway, Bill, who do you have for your first
Well,
defensive end?
one of my first you mentioned my top choice, so I'm not going to go with him. I'm going to go with Calais Campbell of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's quietly having a really good year in Jacksonville. He's got like 12 and a half sacks or something like that, and he's set a new franchise record, and he's still got 4 more games to go.
Oh yeah, it's pretty impressive how everything has clicked together. They have a historic defense, but of course they still choke to the Cardinals with Blaine Gabbert. So I don't know. Also, the
Yep.
Jags fan never responded to me about that, but I'm pretty sure now when I do the power rankings tomorrow, I have this feeling he's gonna appear again. It's like, oh, so you only show up when you win? Is that it, huh? But hey, my teams are disappointing me, but I still show up every week to work. Right, Bill? Even though our teams
No.
suck and are
Oh,
complete trash, we still come to work.
yeah.
We clock in the hours.
Sadly.
But anyway,
Sadly,
my
yes.
second defensive player is another defensive end, Cameron Jordan. 10 sacks, 2 fumbles. So he's not as good as Lawrence, but I still think he's also every much a bit of a defensive player of the year candidate. Because, wow, he was actually not that good last year for the past year. I know there were whispers of him maybe he should be cut. No, he stayed. And look at him. He's going to get paid a lot. This is what the Saints have been missing. A reliable defense, and it started with him. It started with him being disruptive, getting to the quarterback 10 times, and, well, it's paid off.
Right. Uh, my next one that I have written down is Gerald McCoy. Gerald McCoy is quietly having a good year in Tampa again and again and again. And he's really the draft pick I wish the Lions would have made instead of Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah. Okay, but Bill, I have one. I have a Ram, a defensive tackle. This will be
Ooh.
my last guy, I think. It's going to be good old Aaron Donald. You know, the emotional defensive tackle. This dude, I mean, this whole team has played well, and he's got 8 sacks, 3 fumbles. You know, it's hard, but remember, as a defensive tackle, you are less likely to get sacks because your job is to stop the run. And not only has he done that, he's been getting to the quarterback and giving them nice big hugs. So, yeah, that's pretty fun, wouldn't you say?
Right. And one of my last defensive linemen that I got written down is Joey Bosa. Of course, the big man. He is a freak. He is a beast. He's a star, star, star.
He just shrugs at that, though.
Oh yeah.
All right, Bill, let's move on to linebackers. And I've got one. You know I'm going to him first, Bill. The number one overall pick, despite how he keeps getting offsides. I still think he had a good year anyway. Jadeveon Clowney, 9 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. This man, despite doing it all on his own because Watt's out, Merciless is out, yeah, he's doing pretty good. Clowney is proven. Remember when people were like, "Oh, maybe he's a bust, guys. I don't think he's that good." Shut up. That was cute. Now, I want to find those videos where like maybe they should trade him or cut him. He's not that good. Bitch, please. Did you forget what he did in college? He's gonna get paid though. That's the thing. I think the Texans might be in trouble when it comes to the cap because considering they just paid Hopkins, and now you got to play Clowney. Clowney would deserve every bit of much money J.J. Watt's earned and then some. So have fun with that.
See, my first choice, it's another player I wish the Lions had, Luke Kuechly. I mean, every year Luke Kuechly appears on my list because he's one a football mind, two he's a tackling machine, and three he's a hard-nosed, mean, nasty MFer. You know?
Yeah. He's wait, hasn't he missed a lot of time? Or no, wait, that's Greg Olson, who has been sidelined to cheerleader.
Yep.
Anyway, so now I'm going to give you another linebacker, or outside linebacker, this time from the desert. I've teased him earlier. Chandler Jones, actually better than I thought. 13 sacks, so he's very close to the leading sacks in the season, and 2 forced fumbles.
Oh.
Wow. Remember, this is a linebacker. Linebackers also do some coverage against, say, some tight ends.
Here's a name that that I have written down that a lot of people probably would overlook, but he's made a difference on the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Ryan Shazier. Ryan Shazier is quietly having a really good year as well.
Didn't he steal James Harrison's job pretty much now?
Pretty much, yeah.
Have fun with that. All right, man. I'm gonna have another one. This one is also under the radar. Washington football team. The defense has been not that well recently, but he still has the numbers. Ryan Kerrigan, 9 sacks, 2 fumbles, and an interception to boot. How quaint for him, because he might be their perhaps best player on defense, because the other ones are either in the hospital because they were out for extended periods of time, or they're just not good.
And I'll give you one last one that I didn't know what position he played, so I just wrote him down as linebacker or defensive lineman, Khalil Mack. I mean, it's Khalil Mack.
Yeah, he's a defensive end,
he's
but
a beast.
He's a defensive end.
He's a freaking beast. I'm definitely just adding him in there. So
yeah, Khalil Mack he brings home the bacon.
Oh yeah.
I'll give you another linebacker. This man also takes people to town. Terrell Suggs. People thought he was going to fall off the map because he's getting older, and he keeps getting hurt. But no, 10.5 sacks, 4 fumbles. They keep going.
Right.
Like the Ravens linebacker scheme, it's very flexible, and it's because of people like him keeping a lot of offensive linemen on edge.
Oh man.
All right, Bill, let's go to cornerbacks. I'll let you go first with this one.
All right. So my first cornerback is going to be Jalen Ramsey of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's on the way to Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh no, he's a second year, so he's fine.
Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey is really good though. To me he is the best defensive or he's the best cornerback on the planet right now because Sherman's out.
Right.
All right, Bill. I'm gonna give you one that can. No, no, it's not a surprise. I'll give you a Raven, actually, another Raven, because these guys are finally getting their shit together. Jimmy Smith, 3 interceptions. I think he's gotten 2 recently, so that helps him a lot. But the man has come into form. He's playing a lot better. And this was a group where initially the cornerbacks were anticipated to be the weakest part of the defense, but now they've become a strength, and that's pretty
Right.
good.
Speaking of Jalen Ramsey, also nominating his teammate AJ Boye as well because they've just been so good defensively.
I wish we cut Dwayne Brown and signed him. I really need him. All right, Bill. Let me give you. Actually, I'll give you. Here's one that I think you may surprise you. The team making the run right now, Casey Hayward, 4 interceptions too. The Chargers. What made them start getting their shit together was that their defense stopped acting up and giving up a lot of points. The cornerbacks also helped with this. The cornerbacks are half the reason the defense has been able to have enough time to rush and hit the quarterbacks they go up against, because Casey Hayward has started playing like a Pro Bowl defensive back talent.
Right. And I only have one more written down just because I can't think of anyone else, and it is Darius Slay, big play Slay. He's been just really solid for us most of the year, and he's come up with big plays, so he lives up to his.
I've got
his
one,
nick-
and this one's a rookie. Marshawn Lattimore. I know he's been out for the last couple of weeks, but for a rookie to do this much, and not much was expected out of him. He wasn't like Ramsey, who was like, this guy's going to be one of the best defensive backs on the planet. And yet he's playing like one of the best backs in the planet right now. He's playing incredibly well for a rookie. He still makes mistakes, but those are more mental mistakes than physical mistakes, and unlike physical, mental can be corrected.
Right.
And I'll say he's also part of the reason the Saints have gotten better, because the cornerbacks, thanks to him, the cornerback game has gone up tremendously. Let's move to safeties, Bill, and I want to go with this one because there's a guy I like from here that I've just recently added to the list.
Okay.
Dallas Cowboy, actually, a rarity on defense, I know. Jeff Heath. Jeff Heath has been getting, I think he's gotten 2 interceptions in the past 3 games, I think. And this is also the guy who can kick for you, so if Dan Bailey goes out in the Pro Bowl, you could just put him in there instead.
Right. I don't have a safety, so.
You don't? You got nothing. Huh.
Yeah, Earl Thomas is hurt, so I can't really put him in.
Oh, that's unfortunate, Bill.
Because he's my go-to. Earl Thomas is all-world safety. And nothing compares.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Oh, you know what? I'll nominate Glover Quinn. Why not? Glover Quinn's had a pretty good year.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my second guy, but he was my early defensive player of the year candidate, but now it's going to the Cowboys for sure for DeMarcus Lawrence. But I'll give you one more. Eric Weddle.
Ooh,
2 forced
Weddle,
fumbles, a sack, and 5 interceptions. He to me is also one of the most productive safeties in football right now. In fact, he's the only one who has better stats than Glover Quinn right now. I think Quinn might have some of the best overall stats because he's got both fumbles and interceptions. And I think a couple of them are taken back to the house. Anyway, Bill, let's nominate a kicker. I've got one. I've got Dan Bailey because, to me, he's the GOAT.
And I gotta go with Greg Zuerlein. All he does is make 55-plus yard field goals, even in windy conditions. He's just really good for the LA Rams.
Yep. All right, Bill, and who's your punter? Because I know you have one, the one you took from me.
Yeah, Marquette King. He's a beast at punting the football. he kicks 65 yards very easily.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the guy who just came back, Sam Martin, for the Lions.
Good old Sam Martin. He's a good guy.
Yep. But anyway, Bill, are you
Oh man.
ready for the picks?
Indeed I am. Here we go. It is the Thursday game. New Orleans Saints at the Atlanta Falcons.
I stand by my pick. I'm going with the Saints. They're gonna beat them and win the division.
I also got the Saints. After what they did, they showed me something. I gotta go Saints. Next up, the Sunday games, the 1 o'clock games. The Indianapolis Colts at the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, so I don't know if I don't think Tyrod Taylor's going to start with this game, so I'm actually going to go with the Colts. Why? Because Jacoby Brissett is better than Nathan Peterman. So I guess you can call this an upset of the week.
I'm going Colts as well, to be honest. I picked them even with Tyrod in at quarterback. The Bills are just a lost cause on offense and defense right now. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants.
Oh, okay. What are you gonna do? Put in Geno Smith? If you put in Geno Smith, you're tanking. They are tanking on purpose. So I'm gonna go with the Dallas Cowboys because unlike them, they're not trying to tank, but they're failing. But hey, you can't fail against a Geno Smith-led team.
I also got the Cowboys. They're just overall better in all facets of the game, to be honest. And that's saying something. Next up is the Detroit Lions at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'm gonna go with the Lions, but this is one of those games I think they can derp around and fuck it all up. You can't make a mistake anymore.
I think they're done. I got Tampa Bay. Prove me wrong. I got Tampa Bay. Next up, the Oakland Raiders at the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm gonna go with Kansas City. I feel like they need to rebound, and they nearly beat the Raiders earlier in the year, and I think they can do it today because this stadium is a lot better than Oakland.
And I got Oakland. I think the Chiefs are in free fall mode, and they're going to continue. Next up,
say that again, Bill.
The Raiders are going to cause the Chiefs to continue their free fall. The Raiders are going to win. All right. Next up, the San Francisco 49ers at the Houston Texans.
I know they've got Jimmy G, but I'm going to take the Texans because, unlike the Bears, the Texans defense is actually better and can actually rush the quarterback again because we've lost so many players, and yet we still do that, whereas the Bears lose one, and they're like, oh no, how do we go after a quarterback? So I'm going to go with Houston somehow.
I got Houston as well. The 49ers.
They'll be fine when all their players come back and they have a really good draft pick to get a game-changing type of talent on their team.
Oh yeah. Next up, the Green Bay Packers at the Cleveland Browns.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, we're on upset alert here because the Packers, I feel they could very much choke this game to the Browns. But I'm gonna go with Green Bay. I won't. This is perhaps Cleveland's last chance at winning a game.
I've got Green Bay, but I won't lie. If Cleveland wins their only game against Green Bay, I'll laugh and I'll laugh and I'll laugh.
Oh, I will too. Believe me, Green Bay's gonna be stuck with that misery. They're gonna know how the Chargers felt last year.
Next up, the Chicago Bears at the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm going to go with the Bengals. Andy Dalton should light up the Bears defense because they forgot how to run after a quarterback now.
I also got Cincinnati. They're not running the ball effectively. Trubisky is getting attacked. So they're not to play offense, and they can barely play defense. So I got Cincinnati. All right, next up, the Minnesota Vikings at the Carolina Panthers.
I'm going to go with Carolina. I think Carolina's actually going to beat the Vikings, but the Vikings are fine because they don't need to do that much to win the division anymore.
I got Minnesota. They Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs are going to have a big, big game. Next up, the 4 o'clock games. The Washington football team at the Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay, the run continues. I'm going with the Chargers. The Washington football team looks like it too is free falling.
I'm gonna have the Chargers win in front of all 7 fans that are going to be there.
After today, it's gonna rise to 8. Hey, you gotta build that. You gotta build that fan base slowly, man. You're not guaranteed a million from the start. You gotta earn every single one, as they say, and it starts here. At the end of the year, you might have a dozen fans, and that's pretty good.
Exactly. Next up, the New York Jets at the Denver Broncos.
Okay, here we go, Bill. I'm gonna throw in an upset of the week because
Oh
I've
my
got the
God.
Jets actually going into Denver, kicking their asses because they don't have a quarterback at all.
I also have the Jets written down. What is going on?
The Jets don't want to tank either. What's wrong with you two? You and Buffalo. You should know better. Tank. Stop winning.
Oh, man. Next up, we have the Tennessee Titans at the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh my. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually unsure on who to go with here because I feel like the Titans should win, but you know what? I'm gonna go with Arizona. I feel like the Titans are due for a massive derp, and it's gonna cost them everything.
I've got Tennessee winning, and it's going to be really interesting.
If they fuck up at all, they might give the Jaguars the division. Forget Week 17, that might not even be needed.
Very possible.
Because they're tied
All
right
right.
now, and it's gonna end horribly if they lose.
Yep. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles at the LA Rams.
Okay, I got the Rams here. The Rams, to me, if you want the Eagles to not get the first seed, you need to be a Rams fan on that day. Oh boy.
And I've got the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they're the best team in the NFC, and this is going to be a very entertaining game to watch. Speaking of entertaining defensive games to watch, the Seattle Seahawks at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Fun fact, this game was originally going to be a noon game and the Cowboys would have this slot, but you know Cowboys-Giants is disappointing this year. So, I'm going to go with the Seahawks. They beat the Eagles. You beat the best team in the NFC. Now you can just beat an AFC team that has a barely manageable quarterback right now. Come on.
I've got Seattle as well. I think this is going to be a defensive slugfest, though.
I want to see Jags Titans for week 17 for Sunday Night Football, for the ultimate irony of that game normally being the one game they shove into Thursday Night Football for nobody to watch, to now you have to watch it. I want to see that suffering.
Here's a game. Speaking of suffering, the Sunday Night Football game, the Suffering Bowl, the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers, aka the Bloodbath.
Well, it might be closer this time, but I don't think so because despite how the Ravens are like, look, we're 7-5, we're all good, guys. Pittsburgh, your big brother, is gonna say, shut up and sit down. I have a feeling the Steelers are gonna blow out the Ravens defense, and it's gonna look as trashy as it did against Jacksonville back when they were in London.
I've got Pittsburgh as well. The Ravens beat Detroit. No big deal. And then the Monday Night Football game, the New England Patriots at the Dirty Dolphins.
I'm gonna go with the Patriots. The Patriots are gonna lay another spanking on the AFC East, and it's gonna be lead to that inevitable showdown between the Steelers and the Patriots.
All right, and for me, I'm going New England. They're gonna crush the Dolphins, and they're gonna crush their hopes. All right, so week 15 is a Thursday and Saturday games.
Oh, well, we're
So
getting those now.
Thursday is the Denver Broncos at the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the Colts, actually, for this one, too. The Broncos' quarterback situation still looks like shit, but, I'm bound to change this, possibly. That's still within my rights.
I'm also kind of going to hover. I'm going to say Denver just because I don't trust Indy too much. The Saturday games, the 4:30 game, the Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions.
I'm going to go with the Lions. You can't fuck up against the Bears. You're hosting them this time. You should win.
I also got Detroit in that game. And then the 8 o'clock game, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Chargers. The run continues. The Chargers will win, and my early upset of the week for Week 15.
And I've got the Chargers as well. I think Kansas City's done.
Yeah, maybe now we'll start hearing Pat Mahomes come out.
Yep.
All right then. So that is it. Now we're finally getting towards the home stretch next week. Bill, you and I are gonna have to use the good old playoff predictor to see who goes in the playoffs, who are gonna be the division crown teams and the wild card teams. That should be fun. All right then, we'll see you guys then.